Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. I hope we are well. I hope we've had a great week. We have a very special guest today. I'm very blessed and honored to have His Holiness Bhakti Prabhu Swami. Before Marge starts the class, it's only fair, if you're not aware of Marge's history, to share a little bit with you all. So formerly, Marge was known as His Grace Leela Shuka Prabhu. Maharaj actually came to the UK in 2011 and resided in Leicester for a few years, whilst he was also completing his PhD in the study of religion. And during Maharaj's time in Leicester, he also headed up and taught the Bhakti Shastri course, which I was very pleased to be a part of. On the 31st of May 2015, Maharaj was initiated and began known as His Holiness Bhakti Prabhu Swami. The initiation ceremony itself was actually quite a glorious day, as Maharaj's spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Jaro Swami, was also given sannyas by Srila Prabhupada on this very same day. The name Prabhava actually means influence, so no doubt Maharaj is influencing and inspiring devotees around the world with his staunch and exemplary example following in this path of bhakti. Maharaj has done numerous services in the past and was based in Bangladesh, which is in Belgium, and he was involved with bookkeeping and completed the course in chartered accountancy. Maharaj was also engaged in deity worship and follows the same high standards today. Maharaj also spent many years serving as a personal servant to His Holiness Prahlad Swami, particularly with his preaching in Eastern Europe. He uses South London as a base, and Maharaj has delivered numerous lectures and wonderful classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, and is currently doing classes on deity worship. And Maharaj is going to speak about the Rath Yatra. So thank you so much for coming, and it's all yours, Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I'm happy to be with all of you this evening from the Holy Land of Brussels. Brussels is not a holy land, but there's a small temple here, and that's a holy place in Brussels. that. So today I will speak on Lord Jagannath. But before I start speaking on Lord Jagannath and explain the history of Lord Jagannath and the history of Ratha Yatra, I pray to my spiritual master and the previous acharyas and to Srila Prabhupada for their mercy. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charuswamiti Namini. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namini. Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarani. Well, the word Jagannath we find also in the English language. Interesting. Yeah, in English we have the word Jaggernaut. Jaggernaut. When the British were in Jagannath Puri and they saw the Ratha Yatra festival, then they saw the cart of Jagannath, and the cart could not be stopped by any force. And therefore, in English, Jaggernaut means an irresistible force that came identified with a mighty battleship. And the original Lord Jagannath is an irresistible force. Because he is Krishna, the Lord of the universe. So this Ratha Yatra festival is one of the oldest festivals in this world. Yeah. And how did it come about? Of course, Ratha Yatra was known in India, but Srila Prabhupada has spread it all over the world now. It's everywhere. In every big city we have Ratha Yatra. So I will share the screen now. We make it a little bit more visual. So we will speak about the appearance of Lord Jagannath. The appearance of Lord Jagannath is a story of devotion, a story of love, the eternal love between man and God. It tells how the prayer of a devotee caused the Lord to appear in this wonderful way of Jagannath. It shows how Krishna came as Jagannath to accept loving service from all class of men. So the ancient Vedic literature describes a world ruled by King Indradyumna. At that time, the world Satya Yuga. It was considered as a tranquil place. And Indradyumna, he was ruling from his capital, Avantipur, and he looked over the land. It was filled with peace, prosperity, unknown in modern times, unknown today. So many anxiety today in the world. But then there was abundance everywhere during the enlightened age of Satya Yuga. Everyone was peaceful. Still, there was one place where it was not peaceful, and that was in the heart of King Indradyumna. He felt all vacant in the world that he ruled. he felt an internal vacuum because he was hankering for a pleasure beyond material bounds. What did he want? He wanted to see the Lord face to face. Now, what does Bhagavad Gita say about seeing the Lord face to face? Text 11, 53. Nam vederna tapasa nadanina natseya sakyevam vido drashtum dristavam asimam yata. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that I can be seen as I am. Of course, Lord Krishna says in the next verse how he can be known. Bhaktya Vamanaya Sakya Evam Vidurana Yatam Drastvam Sa Tatvanat Pavishtam Sa Parantapa. I can be known only by undivided devotional service. Only then I can be known as I'm standing here before you, and thus can be seen directly. Only in this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So it is, the Gita says it's a boon very rarely achieved by mystics who devote their entire life for God realization. Usually, the more one is in material pursuits, the less likely to make spiritual advancement. So it is always possible for a king, a worldly king, engaged in worldly affairs to obtain the special mercy of the Lord. Krishna is not partial to displays of material power that they are insignificant compared to his glories. What is significant, though, is the love each soul may direct to the Lord. And sometimes Krishna can be conquered by very pure love. So King Indradyumna was searching for the Lord. But one day he was lamenting that he could not serve the Lord directly. And then a pilgrim suddenly appeared. This man revealed how he had actually seen the Lord. How he had seen the Lord accept direct service in his deity form as Nila Madhava. That Nila means blue, Madhava is blue. So God incarnates through the ages, and sometimes he manifests in a form of stone just to please his devotees and to accept their service. So this pilgrim arrived, who said, "Yeah, I've seen the Lord. I've seen how he has accepted service of his devotees." And the traveler described how on a remote mountain and a mountaintop, the mountaintop was called Niladri. He had seen the demigods worshipping the Lord. The king immediately dispatched his chief Brahminical priest, Vidyapati, to find the deity. So he sent Vidyapati because he wanted to find the deity so that all Avantipur could be presented at the lotus feet of the Lord as an offering of love. So then the search for Nila Madhava begins. And Vidyapati was walking to the top of the Mount Niladri. He was walking a journey of 1 month without rest. And then Vidyapati found the Mount Niladri, where he discovered the Sabaras, low-born pig herders camped near the holy ground. Looking beyond class distinctions, Vidyapati did something outrageous, because he was a Brahmin, first-class Brahmin, the head priest of Indradyumna, and he married the daughter of the tribal chieftain Vishvavasu, who had been worshipping the Lord in great secrecy. Interesting. These Sabaras, very low-class people, they were keeping pigs, and still the chief, he was worshipping Nila Madhava in the mountains secretly. So, of course, Vishvavasu was the chieftain, and yes, Vidyapati, he married his daughter, and his daughter told Vidyapati that his father Vishvavasu was worshipping the Lord in secret. So Vishvavasu, and then Vidyapati asked his daughter, Vidyapati asked his wife, who was the daughter of Vishvavasu, to ask Vishvavasu to show him Nila Madhava. And she asked many times, but finally Vishvavasu agreed to show Nila Madhava to Vidyapati. Yes, that's the man. Yeah, Vidyapati married. Yeah, and then he agrees to show Nila Madhava to Vidyapati. But there was a condition. There was a condition that he agrees if he would be blindfolded, so that he would not know the way. But Vidyapati, a Brahman, it cheated Vishvavasu, and in his kurta, in his pocket, he put hundreds of mustard seeds. And while he was walking blindfolded, he was sprinkling them on the path, knowing that eventually they would sprout and lead the emperor back to claim the Lord's attention, to find the path to Nila Madhava. So he was sprinkling. He makes a plan to retrace the route. Yes. So then, for many years, Nila Madhava had been served by Vishvavasu simply with some fruits and flowers, very simple worship. But of course, Nila Madhava is the Supreme Lord in everyone's heart, and he knew also the prayers of Indradyumna. So Nila Madhava one day spoke to Vishvavasu and revealed his intention to accept a more opulent worship according to the desires of Indradyumna. When Vishvavasu heard it, he was devastated. Of course, no one can predict the plan of the Lord. So But Nila Madhav requests worship from King Indradyumna. But then what happens? So no one can predict the plan of the Lord. He bestows special mercy on his devotee by being present before them, and sometimes the mercy is also through separation, which increases a longing and attachment for the Lord. There are two kinds. See that also in Krishna book, Lord Chaitanya, serving the Lord in separation, sometimes union. So interesting is Vishvavasya was worshipping the deity, and then at one day the deity was speaking to him. But that didn't strike Vishvavasya very remarkable. He was too much absorbed in grief at Nila Madhav's imminent disappearance. So he blamed Vidyapati. He said, yes, Nila Madhav was, Nila Madhav wanted to accept Indradyumna's worship. So he accused the Brahmin of cheating him out of God's favor. So Vishvavasya bound Vidyapati with ropes, but his daughter heard her husband cries for help, and she found her husband bound with ropes. So she released him, and Vidyapati went straight to Avantipur. But then, when Vidyapati came back in Avantipur, Indradyumna climbed upon his chariot, and he led his whole army to the mountain. And they followed the trail of these mustard plants, and they found the temple door, struggling to open the temple door. And then they saw Nila Madhav had vanished, gone. So immediately they thought, who has done this? It must be Vishvavasu. So only Vishvavasu could be suspected of removing the deity. So in his desperation to keep the Lord, he might have done anything. However, they found the chief of the Sabaras. He was still mourning for Nila Madhav's departure. But King Indradyumna did not believe his lament and arrested Vishvavasu. Suddenly, who appeared? Narada Muni. The great sage appeared in the air and revealed what had really happened with Nila Madhav. So, and he said, yes, the Lord has withdrawn due to his own choosing. It was his choice. But he will reappear again in the form of Lord Jagannatha to bestow benedictions upon the entire world. Nila Madhav had enjoyed the simple and intimate service of Vishvavasu. His appearance as Jagannatha could be for the benefit of everyone. First, however, Narada Muni announced that the great temple must be constructed. He said, Nila Madhav will come back as Jagannatha, but first we need to build a great temple. Then Lord Brahma, the chief of the demigods, would receive Indradyumna on his own planet, and planned for the sacred installation of Jagannath Swami, the Lord of the universe. So then the temple construction started. When the temple finally was completed, Narada Muni escorted King Maharaj Indradyumna to his father's kingdom of Satyaloka. So normally this Satyaloka is not accessible to ordinary human beings. But so great was Indradyumna's devotion to God that even Lord Brahma was eager to meet him. Lord Brahma further described how Lord Jagannath would appear in a wooden form from a great Kalpa Vriksha tree transported from the spiritual planet of Svetadvip. Then, when King Indradyumna was informed of that, he came back to the earth in a spaceship from Brahma's planet. But when he returned, he was surprised. He said, things have changed. He was only away for what seemed a short time, but the earth had aged many years. No one recognized him in his own kingdom. And his trusted priest Vidyapati had been replaced by another. Of course, ages and ages had gone by. But the difference with the time on Satyaloka. And then the king remained bewildered for some time until a mystical crow revealed how all Indradyumna's associates had died in his absence. For the sake of worshipping the Supreme, he had lost everything: family, friends, and kingdom. But despite his hardship, Indradyumna remained steadfast in his courage. He knew that God sometimes tests the love of his devotees by removing all other objects of affection. King Indradyumna was determined to hasten the Lord's arrival by fasting, if necessary until death. Then Lord Jagannath appeared, but only in a dream. And the emperor was guided to a great log floating in the ocean. No ordinary tree, this giant had come uprooted from the spiritual sky, part of the same transcendental energy as the Lord's own body. Even the might of the army could not budge it. But then a low Sabara stepped from the crowd, and he handled the trunk with ease. This amazing fellow turned out to be a descendant of Vishvavasu, and he carried the sacred log to the Gundicha temple for preparation. Then the greatest craftsmen in all the world assembled to carve the Lord's deity form, according to scriptural injunction, because it has to be, the deity is described in the scripture, and it has to be exactly like this description. Following these descriptions, according to this description, it has to be carved. So many great craftsmen came, but all their tools simply shattered to pieces. They could not do it. Then a mysterious old Brahmin appeared. His name was Ananta Maharani, and he agreed to carve the deity. But he said, yes, it should be done on his terms. He said, I want complete isolation for 3 weeks. And the gates were locked, and the beat of the chisel resounded for days. After only 2 weeks, however, it stopped, and King Indradyumna was worried. The Brahmin was old, maybe something happened. So overcoming the restraints of the priest and advisors, the king wrenched open the doors to discover a very unusual sight, a form of a deity never seen before. The Lord's form was apparently unfinished, having no hands or feet, and the emperor feared he had made a great mistake in opening the doors too early. The aged sculpture had vanished. So, as Indradyumna cursed his foolishness, new friends tried to console him. He said, the son of the Sabara said, yeah, whatever happens is by the Lord's will. You acted out of love, so there can be no wrong. And the chief priest said that the deity of Jagannatha, along with his brother Baladev and sister Subhadra, should be painted and dressed and prepared for the installation by Lord Brahma. So Indra felt ashamed until God's plan. King Indradyumna felt ashamed until God's plan finally was revealed by Narada Muni. A passage in the Vedas mentions that the Lord has no hands and feet, which impersonalists and atheists interpret to deny the Lord's personal existence. But Jagannath proves he is a person, unlike any other, and he can still bestow blessings and accept offerings of love, even without hands and feet. Narada Muni described that once once he had seen this form in Dwarka. At that time, the Lord's Vrindavan pastime were discussed. That was Rukmini and Rohini were discussing. All the queens were questioning Rohini that about the love of the gopis for Krishna. And they were discussing secretly in Dwarka the Vrindavan pastimes. But of course they were discussing, but they said to Subhadra, you stand at the door that no one else hears it. But Subhadra was standing at the before the door. She was hearing the discussions and she became so ecstatic that her limbs withdrew in her body. Then Krishna and Balaram arrived and they saw how Subhadra was in this ecstatic form and that she was hearing at the door, and they went also hearing at the door. And they became also ecstatic and all their limbs came into their body. When they entered their body, they went in a trance. Their eyes opened wide, their feet and hands were attracted in the body. Sharing in this transcendental exchange, Krishna's sister and brother were similarly transformed. So now that I've seen that form before, so this is a bona fide form of the Lord. So then, Narada Muni has announced that his father, Lord Brahma, would soon arrive to install the Jagannath deity. So before the celebration began, Brahma gave Indradyumna divine vision to see that his new friends, who his new friends were. So Brahma gave him divine vision, and he could see that the embodied souls of his old companions Vindyapati and Vishvavasu were there, They just changed bodies. They were still there. Thus, the story of Jagannath's appearance ended happily with the reunion of loving devotees to honor and serve the Lord. That, of course, that there is also the history of the meeting at Kurukshetra at the time of the, think of the moon eclipse, sun eclipse, moon eclipse, I think, yeah. They went, and there in Kurukshetra, the residents of Vrindavan met with the residents of Dwarka. But when the gopis and Srimati Radharani saw Krishna, they on a chariot together with Balaram and Subhadra, and he was dressed as a king. They were thinking, yeah, this is not our Krishna, that we want him to come to Vrindavan, that and feeling separation from Krishna in Vrindavan, they started to pull the chariot with ropes, pulling the chariot to Vrindavan. And that is another meaning of Radha Yatra. That, yes, it's after 1,000 years, the Jagannath deity remains the source of unlimited joys for everyone. At the Ratha Yatra festival, there is a time to celebrate the loving exchange between Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and his devotees. It is said that all those who partake in this festival receive blessings on their help going back to Godhead. This is the power of attending Jagannath festival. Now I want to speak a bit about the history of the Ratha Yatra. And I found a few years ago a documentary. It's not made by Vaishnavas in our tradition. So there are some Hindu misunderstandings, but otherwise it is a very nice history of the festival and what happens in Jagannath Puri. It's 899 minutes, so I want to show you this to end. That's why I will start it now. Hopefully it goes well. Yeah, that's it. So So millions of people are coming together every year here for the festival. 65 ton each cart, the biggest carts in the world. Yeah, yeah. Jagannatha, Lord of the universe. So Balabhadra, Subhadra. So a big forest, a green forest surrounds the Jagannath temple. So the people are praying for the coming of the monsoon, because it's been very, very hot in Jagannath Puri in June. So the Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra come out of the temple once a year just to visit Vrindavan. So this is the Vijay Pandava ceremony. The Jagannath comes out of the temple, and Baladev and Subhadra, and they are carried by the sabaras. They are very, very, very heavy. These are descendants of the sabaras. So Jagannath is the last to appear. It is moved on cushions. Yeah, see these sabaras, very powerful. So Jagannath is mounted, his chariot. Yeah, just at this moment, rain starts to fall. And that's the end of the heat period. So first, the cart of Balabhadra Baladev goes into motion, start to move. So Jagannath starts his journey to the Gundicha temple, which is 3 kilometers. These carts are made every year again. So it's made of woods of South Orissa, wood of the forest of South Orissa. So then they arrive at the Gundicha temple. So the last to arrive is the chariot of Jagannath, 40 minutes later. So then Jagannath Baldev Subhadra enters the Gundicha temple and stay there for 7 days. These are devotees from Vrindavan. Is entering the temple 9 p.m. 7 days the gate to the Kondisha temple is sealed. But the festival goes on. So people take their vacation, holiday at the beach. Some of them have never seen the ocean before. So after 5 days, the dramas at night are going on, prasadam is distributed, festival is going on. So now Jagannath Baladev Subhadra is going to return. They are coming out of the Konditsa temple. And then they will return again. Sabaras, moving them up the chariot. Yeah, 56 ton. Yeah, golden ornaments, very beautiful. So everyone feels ecstatic. So that's the last day of the festival. Yeah, he re-enters the temple. Oh, Hare Krishna. So this is very ecstatic form of the Lord. A few more details that is a map of Africa, but it's supposed to be India. But a few details, remarkable details. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has spent 24 years in Jagannath Puri. It therefore is called also Viraha, etc., the place of separation, because he felt this separation from the Lord in the mood of Srimad Radharani, the mood of the gopis, that it is said Jagannath Puri is shaped like a conch shell. So there is an essay of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in which he revealed many details of the Jagannath temple. He has been in charge for 4 or 5 years as the deputy magistrate on Jagannath Puri. That the fire in the kitchen is burning for 800 years without doving. 800 years. Of course, non-Hindus are not allowed. We know Haridas Thakur never entered the temple. Also, Sanatan Goswami did not enter because he lost his caste. He worked for the Muslims. So that is the mercy of Lord Jagannath. That at the end of the festival, they are using the wood of the carts for the kitchen, to get the kitchen stoves going on, because they have 64 kitchens, I think, and 64 preparations every day. So this is the mercy of knowing this history and this Jagannath festival. Everyone who sees it, everyone who participates will benefit on his way back to God. So, thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Thank you very much, Marge, for a wonderful class. I'm actually lost for words because it was so wonderful. You know, the history of how Sri Jagannath came, the watching the actual scenes in Jagannath Puri, and also, yeah, just the history of it's wonderful. Devotees, if you have questions, I would really encourage you to please messages in the box so we can ask. But a question I did have, Maharaj, please, is devotees who live in Jagannath Puri, they're obviously doing lots of different services, like making the cart or the cooking or the ropes. They must have led very pious lives in the past to be able to render this kind of personal service to the lordships. Is that right?
Yeah, that is this is a characteristic of devotees in general. It is not just by some chance that we become devotees. That we, Srila Prabhupada said many times, and also Rupa Goswami says that devotional service is a process that goes over many lifetimes. So to come in contact with the devotees and be engaged in devotional service to the deity and to the Lord is a sign of great fortune. But it's very rare. How many people on this planet become devotees? Are very seriously engaged in the Lord's service. It's very rare. It's extraordinary rare. So that's, yes, when it means we become devotees, Prabhupada said, because we were devotees in our previous life already. That, of course, we have to try to make it in one lifetime and become pure in one lifetime. But yes, it is a good question. That's very rare. Hare Krishna. But, I don't know, so most of you know the story maybe, but it's good to hear it again, or may have heard some details that you did not hear before. But,
we have another question, Maharaj. So Raj Prabhu was asking, when the Lord appears in other forms, we are told about his internal and external reasons behind them. Do we know what the internal and external reasons are behind his appearance as Lord Jagannath?
yeah, we heard something about his internal reasons. And I read it again, that it's, I repeat it again, that Nila Madhav, he knew the desire of King Indradyumna. King Indradyumna, and because of King Indradyumna's devotion, and his desire to serve the Lord in opulence, he wanted to fulfill the desire of King Indradyumna. So that is, yes, the internal reason why he appears. He wants to associate and live in and relates with his devotees. The external reason, and that is interesting, external reasons, yadaya dharmasya glani bhavta bharati abhutanama dharmasya tatarvam chichamyam. I come to, when the religious principles of bhakti devotion service are not there anymore, I come to re-establish these principles, and then paritranaya sadnam, paritranaya sadnam, vinasaya saduskadam, samsastam partanadaya, sambhavan yuge yuge. And I'm coming to protect the devotees and to associate with the devotees and to annihilate the demons. These are most of the external reason is to annihilate the demons. But the real reason is that he wants to associate and relate with his devotees and please them. That demons, he does not need to come to annihilate them. He can do that through other agents. But it comes because of the love of his devotees, and that is the story. It's because of the love of his devotees. Therefore, Krishna, the love in Vrindavan, and that's what we are speaking about, because that's what Lord Jagannatha represents. He reciprocates with the love of Vrindavan. And this Braja Prem is very special, because with this Braja Prem, then the Supreme Lord can be controlled. He comes under the control of his devotees. This is what's very special in the love of the residents of Vrindavan. Krishna, he is afraid from Mother Yasoda and is fear personified. He gets bound by Mother Yasoda because he allows it out of love. So that Ananda Maharaj say, Krishna, bring my shoes. And Krishna comes with the shoes on his head. So that is the Braja Prema. But even higher than that is the Gopis' love, which they feel in separation. And therefore, when Lord Chaitanya was present, he was dancing before the deity of Jagannath, and Jagannath would not move. They tried to move the cart, but he would not move. And then, until Lord Chaitanya put his head on the cart, and then it started to move. Because, Lord Jagannath is Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya is in the mood of Radharani, and is controlled by the love of Srimati Radharani. So that makes Lord Jagannath very special, and also very merciful form. That because he reciprocates with the mercy of Srimati Radharani. So therefore, yes, Jagannath is a very, very merciful form, and is worshipped by everyone. At that time in Jagannath Puri, whether you were a Hindu or not, the Jagannath festival, everyone could worship the Lord. And they did. It's very, very special. Does that help to understand.
I'm sure that helps. Thank you so much, Marge. What we're going to do now is actually stop the recording and request the devotees to put the camera on so you can see